Greetings comic book fans, I'm Jason and welcome to my comic book reviews. 18 books to get through, so it's going to be a bit of a big one. Sorry it is a bit late. I'm going to go by the adage of it's better late than never, and hopefully that will be provided true. Before we get into the reviews, I just want to send out a big thank you to Sean Mitchell and Wonky Ninja. They both took the time last week on my video to leave a comment to tell me not to worry so much about the length of videos, because I know that's something that I do worry a lot about. I realise people are very busy today, that there are a lot of review videos now on YouTube, so I try and keep them short. But they took the time to leave the comments that, hey, don't worry about the length of your videos, just keep doing what you're doing, we're enjoying it. And it really meant a lot that you took the time to do that, and I really appreciate it. You know, it's starting to sink into my thick skull that, you know, it doesn't really matter the length. I look at my views and I look at the length of the videos, and there's no correlation between the two. So yeah, but it's still very much appreciated that they took the time to leave those comments, so thank you very, very much. So let's get down to some comic book reviewing now. We're going to kick things off as we have done for the past few weeks now. We're going to kick off with our reviews of the 2 DC weekly series I get. We're then going to go into the main DC books. Then we're then going to go into just one independent to review this week, and then finally we're going to close the show with Marvel. So let's get down to business, and we have first up the New 52 Future's End issue number 24. This is a series that I just keep enjoying. I'm really loving the space stuff with the new Stormwatch, and I would definitely follow a book with this team, because you've got the Atom, you've got Black Adam, you've got Frankenstein, the Engineer, Hawkman, and Amethyst. That is quite some team, and I would definitely buy a book with that team in it. I like the way this book is structured. It's very different. It has a much more of an anthology kind of feel, because you'll kind of have, each story will have its piece. It won't jump backwards and forwards. Each part of the story will have its bit, and so yeah, it has much more of an anthology series with stories that are, as of yet, some of the stories we can't see no connection, some we can. But that's the interesting thing as we go along, is you'd imagine all of these stories are going to join up, and it's really going to be interesting to see how they're going to do that. Like I say, loving the space stuff. That's my favourite part of the story. I'm still not completely sympathetic with Madison as a character. I feel she's been a bit too harsh on Tim, but boy does she have bad taste. Every man she picks as a secret, she's just going to have no luck, that girl. We then, on Cadmus Island, we get to find out a bit more about Mr. Miracle, because I found it was strange, because I thought Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, is it Big Barda or Bad Barda? I can never remember. But anyway, I thought Barda and Miracle were like a couple, but I didn't understand why they travelled to Earth 2 on separate ships. That seemed a bit strange. So this issue makes more sense of that, and we find out why. So that was really cool to find out why. We get some cool stuff with Constantine and the Red Tornado robot. If that's the same Red Tornado that I saw in Earth 2, that one was the consciousness of Lois Lane. If that's the same one, we're in for some really interesting stuff with the way this ended. When we get to the end, it came much too soon. I was enjoying this book so much. I was like, oh no, that's not the end. I was enjoying that. But yeah, this was just a fantastic issue. Really enjoying the book. The art team they've got on this book are really consistent. From issue to issue, it doesn't seem to be as big a jump as we have with Batman Eternal. All in all, just a really great fun package, and I'd make Future's End issue number 24 my pick of the week. So we already know the pick of the week, so how did the rest of the books fare? Well, next up we have Batman Eternal issue number 28, and DC's other weekly. This was a good issue. Again, we had the problem with the art. I didn't like the art this issue, and it wasn't that it was bad art, it was just the characters looked totally different. Some of the characters did, like Red Hood, when he had his helmet off, he looked totally different to how I can remember Red Hood looking before. And, you know, I remember a few issues back, we had an Alfred that just did not look like Alfred. And I think that's been the problem. It's not so much that they've got different styles, it's just that they just totally draw the same characters, totally different. And it does make it at times jarring. This issue, luckily, Red Hood was still in his uniform, so you could recognise that it was Red Hood. But it does make it difficult, and I think it's going to be even more telling when we come to the trades, and you can go from issue to issue, and you see how different they are. It is going to really affect people's enjoyment of the story. What I did like about this issue, though, was I enjoyed Catwoman's story. While we know where she's going to end up, I've really enjoyed seeing how she's getting there. And it's been quite a tragic tale, and the tragedy gets turned up to 100 this issue. I'm also really enjoying Killer Croc, and I'm interested to see where they're going to take his character now after the events of this issue. Batman, yeah, we only get minimal Batman this issue, but I felt the other stories were so strong that didn't matter so much. We get some stuff with Batgirl and Red Hood. In the main, I liked it. This main conundrum, the moral conundrum, as Batgirl's kind of contemplating killing Bard, and Red Hood kind of calls her bluff. I liked that and how that played out. This whole romance angle with Red Hood and Batgirl, is this an ongoing thing that's been there for time, or is this something new they've cooked up with the New 52? Because I can remember going way back to something like, I think it might have even been the Court of Owls storyline. When Batgirl found out that Red Hood had been in Gotham, she was really angry that he'd been there, or she threatened to kill him or something like that. At the time I remembered thinking, well, why is she so pissed at Red Hood? But is it because there's this whole romance thing that between the two? I don't know. Please, somebody help. Does anybody know? Is this a new thing, or is this an ongoing thing with these two characters? Because it seemed like this, the last couple of issues, has kind of, for me, come out of nowhere. But all in all, though, I thought the stories in this issue were strong, let down by the art, and I'd give Batman Eternal issue number 28 4 stars out of 5. So moving on to the regular ongoing books, we have Batwoman issue number 35. I forgot when I did my haul video that we got a new artist on this issue. Thank you to Wonky Ninja for reminding me. George Gianti, I think you pronounced the name. Sorry if I've butchered your name there. But I thought they did a really good job on here. I don't think the art is going to look that good because I haven't got the best light in here. But we'll give it a whirl. Show you some of the art. All in all, I liked the art in this book. I feel the problem for this book is whoever comes on it, they're always going to be compared to J.H. Williams III, and he's just a fantastically unique artist that has his own style, and I don't think nobody could really emulate him. So I feel maybe sometimes people are unfairly kind of compared, and you should take each artist on their own merits. And I thought this was a good start for this artist, because I'm sure as the story goes on he'll get tighter and pick things up and get used to drawing these characters. As for the story, it does feel a bit of a jump. Fortunately, I'd seen an interview with Draco, so I'd got a heads up, I'd been warned. But if you'd read the months before with the cliffhanger, and then you come into this issue, you'd think, have I missed an issue, because it's not even mentioned in this. So it is a bit of a jump, and it does affect you coming into it, and it could affect your enjoyment. And also for us people that have followed the book for a long while, there is that sense of deja vu from when Draco first took over and the story just jumped to somewhere different. While the issue is all this one long space battle, so in many ways it feels like nothing really happens other than this one space battle. It was a good structure to use for an issue where you're introducing new characters, because throughout the battle we were introduced to different members of the Unknowns and what their powers are and what they can do. So that was a really good use of the space battle in this one. Easy to follow story, because yeah, it's one long story, and I'm definitely intrigued in finding out how we went from where we was in issue 34 to how we get to where we are here. And I'm definitely intrigued to see that, and to see the first meetings between all these characters. So I'd give Batwoman issue number 35 3 stars out of 5. So jumping now to Batman and Robin issue number 35. This is part 3 of Robin Rises. I really love the Hellbat armor in this issue, and so much of like Batman's part of this issue is just him using the Hellbat armor to kick ass on Apocalypse, which is really cool. I also really like the Bat family stuff. I love the new outfits that they have when they travel to Apocalypse, and I really like how they come together and are like, wow, we're not gonna go and do what Bruce wanted. We're gonna go and help Bruce. I like the stuff with Batwoman, and I would buy a book that just Batwoman working with Alfred for a few issues, because I just think that would be just really cool, and I'd love to see that. That would be brilliant. So I wish we could maybe get a mini series just following while they're away, Batwoman working with Alfred. That would be brilliant. The art this issue again by Gleason is just fantastic, and the story I really liked and how it built, and I have no clue at all how this story is going to go, but I liked all the parts that are moving here. I thought this was good. I'm enjoying the story, and I'm enjoying not knowing where it's going to go. And I'd give Batwoman and Robin issue number 35 5 stars out of 5. So our final DC book this week, it is Justice League issue number 35, and this was a really good issue. It's not an issue with a lot of action. There isn't that much going on for a lot of it, but because the bulk of it is just like let me step back a bit. The basic premise of the issue is that Bruce and Lex are announcing their companies joining together. So you have a little bit of posturing with each trying to top each other with their speech, and then they go inside and Batman goes to Luthor's secret laboratory. Basically Batman wants to get evidence, because he still, though Luthor is a member of the Justice League, he doesn't trust him. And we have all the Justice League kind of gathered in different places, ready for when Batman finds this evidence on Luthor. Then all hell breaks loose as somebody attempts to kill Luthor, which brings the Justice League into action and leads us into Crazy Town. I really enjoyed this issue. While the bulk of it seems to be, or at least feel, like it's just Bruce and Luthor talking, the dialogue backwards and forth is just fantastic. You're gripped throughout of it as these two people with their intellects are it's kind of a mental chess game as they're going backwards and forth, and it's just brilliant. I was totally engrossed during those scenes. I'm loving as well, we see the team up, Flash and Power Ring I like together. I'm liking Cyborg and Shazam together. That's working really well. So I really like that. Doug Mackey's art in this issue is phenomenal. I don't know, I'm just looking now to see if I can see oh no, it's Doug Mackey and Ivan Reis on the art, which that is phenomenal, because I didn't even notice a shift. They managed that art really well. Oh my god, it's got like 5 inkers on it again. Why did Justice League always have so many inkers? Anywho, it hasn't hurt the book, because the art throughout this book is phenomenal. I love the art all the way through here. Because like you can see, the majority of it is just Bruce and Luthor. But the art I really liked in this issue. I thought really solid start to this new story arc that they're doing. I really enjoyed this. This really reignited my enjoyment of this book. And if this is just the first chapter of this, and they can keep the whole of this arc this strong, it's going to be a damn good story. And I'd give Justice League issue 35, I'd give 5 stars out of 5. So now we move on to our one independent book of the week. It is Doctor Who, 12th Doctor, issue number 1. I felt that this was going to be the hardest one to write, because whereas with the 10th and the 11th Doctor, there's loads of TV episodes you can go and watch to get the tone of that Doctor right. This Doctor is in his first series now, so when they wrote it, this wouldn't have been broadcast. So I really felt they had a tough job, but I feel they did a really great job here. The 12th Doctor is really well written, and they've taken the best aspects of that Doctor and used them here. Because at times in the TV show, this cover incarnation of the Doctor can be unlikable and can be a bit callous. But they've taken the best points of him and not gone overboard, as they have sometimes in the TV show. And what we get is the Doctor who's pitch perfect here. I love the banter backwards and forth between him and Clara. You can tell that they're two people that care for each other, that like each other, but they do have this banter, prickly banter between each other, which works really well. The story is really strong, and I liked the twists and the turns in the story, and the Doctor is the catalyst for those twists and turns, and I love the way things are building, and the conclusion we get to with the big cliffhanger is fantastic. I'm really interested to see where this is going to go next. Really interesting story, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this. And it's great at the moment with the Doctor Who comics they're putting out, because all of them are really great, and this was just another great one. And to give Doctor Who 12th Doctor issue number 1 5 stars out of 5. So now we move on to our Marvel books, and our first Marvel book this week is their big event book, Axis, issue number 2. This issue I thought was really good. I think what they do really well in this one is they establish the stakes are big, and it feels like this is a massive fight, which Rick Remender is great at setting that kind of tone and letting you know that there's big stakes in play here, and that this is a really big battle. The story builds well mostly through the eyes of Iron Man, who at the beginning of the story he's got a lot of guilt, because Red Skull, or Red Onslaught as he now is, tricked him into building these Iron Sentinels, and they have the technology to kind of track down and destroy every hero. So things aren't going well for our heroes, and then Iron Man kind of has to pick himself up, and then we have the final battle, and it's all looking very grim for Iron Man until a fantastic kind of twist cliffhanging ending, which I absolutely loved, and really excited for issue 3. There were some great character moments this issue which I think worked better. Last issue I said it was a bit out of character for some of the characters, the reconciliations. This issue, because they're pretty much thinking they're going into their final battle, that this is it for them, they're going to make their last stand. They're going to either stop Red Onslaught, or they're going to die trying. So it makes more sense for the characters to kind of make these reconciliations at this point, and I feel in that way the character moments in this issue worked a lot better than in the first issue. All in all, I'm enjoying this. I thought this was a really strong second issue, and I'm really excited for issue 3, which, you know, that's all you can ask for when you go into a book, is that it leaves you wanting more, and this is what this did. I really want to see where we go next, and I give issue number 2 of Axis 5 stars out of 5. So we move on now to Magneto, issue number 11, and this is an Axis tie-in. The cliffhanger that we get at the end of issue number 2, this shows how we get there, and it shows us through Magneto how we get there. And so, like, the first half of the story is Magneto feeling like he's pretty down, like everything, all the power that he's got wasn't enough to help people, and he's going through his life. Like last issue, we kind of got a look at his life and how he's never, the big moments in his life, he'd never been able to be there to make a difference to the people he loved or cared about. And he's going over that again this issue, feeling really down, like what is the point of it all if you've got this power but you can't protect the ones you love. And we then kind of get to the bit of the story where you get basically he gets a kick up the arse and realizes that there's a way to beat Red Onslaught. And then the second half of the book is him starting to build up that plan that we'll see coming to fruition at the end of issue 2 of Axis. I really enjoyed this. I'm loving the insight into Magneto and what motivates him. And I think Colin Bunn is doing top work here with Magneto. Art-wise, we have... oh god, I think it's going to be too dark in here to really see the art. But art-wise, I've really enjoyed, as the series has gone on, I've really enjoyed Gabriel Hernandez-Waller's art. And this book has just been an absolute joy. One of my favourite that Marvel are putting out right now. And, you know, it ties in nicely to Axis because it furthers what we've been following with Magneto, while at the same time providing us with a little bit more understanding into an aspect of Axis' story, which for me makes it a perfect tie-in. And I'd give Magneto issue number 11 5 stars out of 5. So now we move on to Daredevil issue number 9. I've really been enjoying this. This story, we've got the purple kids from the last issue who can control people, and I love the way the stories connect up as Daredevil is out with his friends having a meal. When he hears trouble, he goes out to be Daredevil to help out, and then he gets tied up with these purple children, and at first he thinks Purple Man's done something, and it's only like too late. He kind of realizes that the children are the perpetrators. I love the kids in this. They are really spooky in a horror film kind of way. And, you know, I thought that works really well. And like I say, I love that transition, bringing Daredevil into the main story with the purple children. I thought that was really well done. The art, as always, and the colours in this book are fantastic. This every issue is just a tour de force from this team of consistence of excellence. And I give Daredevil issue number 9 5 stars out of 5. So now we jump on to Uncanny X-Men issue number 5, and Uncanny X-Men issue number 27. And as with Magneto's kind of been an insight into that character, Uncanny X-Men has very much been an insight into the psyche of Cyclops. This issue is kind of pretty much told from his perspective. The X-Men have gone in to help S.H.I.E.L.D. deal with this character called Matthew, whose powers are frighteningly big, and everybody's kind of ignoring Cyclops as they're all coming up with different ways of dealing with this, none of which are working, until eventually Cyclops steps up with his own way of working. And I really loved what they did with Cyclops here, and I'm really excited and interested to see where we're going to go. What does hurt this issue is we have 4 inkers. And, you know, I'm somebody who doesn't really understand too much about the inks and the difference that makes. But this issue, the same artist, but you wouldn't be able to tell it's the same artist. And I think sometimes we kind of, like particularly myself, we might blame artists and say their art for this issue isn't very good. And it might not be their art, it might be the way it's been inked. And certainly this issue, the same artist art, but the 4 inkers make that art look totally different all the way through. There are parts in this book where Bucalow's art is the best it's ever looked, and there's other parts where you can tell it's his art, and then there's other parts where it looks a bit rough. So yeah, it all totally changes from scene to scene, which does hurt the book a bit because it feels like different artists, but it's not. It's just different inkers. But even though it hurt the book, I found it very interesting to see the difference of inkers. Like I say, really interesting conclusion to the story. Really intrigued to see where we're going to go next. And I give Uncanny X-Men issue number 27 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Fantastic Four issue 11. Things are still pretty grim for our Fantastic Four. It's cool to see at last to see some people putting together that there's somebody else behind this, as we see Wyatt and She-Hulk having this conversation, and they're trying to put it together. Then somebody attempts to kill Wyatt, which, like, so who is behind all this? That is the really intriguing question. The Thing is not having much luck in prison as they try and beat him up again to keep him soft for She-Thing. I really like the scene with Reed. He's just really reaching rock bottom and has so much guilt. And then when Sue comes back from Latveria and her daughters refuse to come with her, and the two characters together, you just feel so sorry for them because it's really painful seeing characters you like and you care about in this situation. And but it's really well written. The art this issue, Leonard Kirk is on top form. I don't know if we've got a different colorist or art or inker, but yeah, Leonard Kirk, not that his art is ever usually bad, but this is the top art in this issue. And I don't know if he's just hit his stride for the art on the book, or if it's just somebody else on the book that's doing something to his art. But yeah, it looks fantastic. All in all, I'm really loving the book. I love the end. It opens up more questions, and I'd give Fantastic Four issue number 11 5 stars out of 5. So now jumping into our weekly fix of Spider-Verse, it is Edge of Spider-Verse issue 5. This is the final issue of this series, and I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting. I like these different Earths. What I like about them is seeing the things that are similar to the main Marvel universe, and seeing the things are different, seeing characters that we know slightly imagined in a different way is really cool. So I really like that. We get some Spider-Ham, which is brilliant. It's the first time we've got Spider-Ham. We get you see him here at the end of the issue. He finds this world's Spider-Man. So that is really cool to get some Spider-Ham. At last, coming to the Spider-Verse is Spider-Ham. So that is brilliant. I really like the introduction of this character, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again in the main Spider-Verse story. And the art just really works for this story and does really great. The other thing I really love that Marvel are doing is we have in the back, oh no, not this one, it's the next book. They have, in some of the books, they have the, it's in the next book that you've got the checklist telling you the reading order of these books, which I really love that. But yeah, getting back to Edge of Spider-Verse, I really enjoyed this series, and especially the ones where we've introduced characters we're going to be meeting again later on. I think they've been the better ones, and this was a really good way to end this series. And I give Edge of Spider-Verse issue number 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Spider-Man 2099 issue number 5. It is an Edge of Spider-Verse tie-in. I enjoyed this. It sets up the story well. It introduces the whole Edge of Spider-Verse stuff into this Spider-Man and how it's relevant to him. So I liked that, and it gave it a very much of a slant of his Spider-Man. The idea he discusses in a business meeting of them building prisons, wouldn't he know the kind of things the company does that they make their money from in the future? Wouldn't he be careful with what he suggests, because it could change the future? I don't know, but that did seem he'd been a bit proactive. On the cover it says we have Shinley on art, but we don't. We have a different artist called Rick Leonardi, and I did not love Leonardi's art. It's always cool to see different Spider-Men from different worlds, and I liked how they tied it into the 616 Spider-Man 2099. But yeah, this was good. I thought it was a good setup. I thought the heart hurt it a bit, and it really, we don't get much of the ongoing story that we've been following as we get all Edge of Spider-Verse. So that hurt it a bit, and the art wasn't great. But yeah, all in all, I thought it was good. And like I said, I thought it was in the previous one, I do love how they do the checklist. Not just the checklist of the issues you need but also the reading order. I think that really helps a lot. And I'd give Spider-Man 29 issue number 5, I'd give it 4 stars out of 5. So now we're moving right along into New Avenger territory now with New Avengers issue 25. 7 months, time runs out. And this issue, much like last week's Avengers, it continues the story that we were following last month, that is set 8 months in the future. What they do really well in this issue is, in last month's issue we had Amadeus Cho and he was talking to someone. We get the other side of that conversation this issue, as this issue takes place at the time of last month's issue, but from the perspective of a different group of characters. And I liked how they did that. I thought that was really good and really clever, and it catches things up. There's a lot of mentions to things that at the moment mean nothing to us, and it'll be interesting maybe reading this book in a few months when we've got more of the story, and we'll say, oh yeah, they mentioned that there and they did that there. Because I feel at the moment a lot of the stuff in this issue is over our heads and will have more meaning later on. Yeah, I'm loving the heading of this book, and yeah, and I love how this book ended up. So all the events we saw last issue we got from the other side of the mirror now. I really like that, and this was just another really good issue. I'm really enjoying. Like I say, some of it felt a bit over my head, but I'm sure that will mend itself in time. And I give New Avengers issue number 25 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have the Avengers World issue number 14, and this is the final issue of the current story arc. It ties up everything nicely. You could maybe gripe some of the stories get kind of rushed, but it still ties up everything really nice. I did have the gripe that we've got the Avengers from the future. I don't know if any of you saw that animated movie. I think it was called Next Avengers, where the children of the Avengers kind of become heroes and try and take out Ultron. Those Avengers have ended up in present day, and so like Maria Hill's looking after them, and it just felt like we're getting too much of that going on. But I don't know if this is going to play into the whole time runs out, that with all these people out of time it's going to break things down. I don't know if that's where we're heading with all of that. So maybe it's going to serve a larger purpose. Marco Scicchetto here on art is just phenomenal. I really love Scicchetto's art, but there are just some really badass moments where you've got like a giant Shang-Chi fighting a dragon over China, which is really cool. But yeah, Scicchetto, I don't know how well you can see the art, because like I said, the camera isn't the greatest, but Scicchetto is on top form, and he and Spencer just make a fantastic creative team for this book, and I'm hoping they're still on it next month, because I really enjoyed this team working together. There's a really nice moment at the end between Cap and between Maria Hill that I really liked, and I thought was a nice way to close the story. Next issue is the one that I jumped back on board for. As you can see there at the back, you've got Doctor Doom with pictures with Valeria Richards, and they're going through different Avengers, putting together a new team. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by that. Doom putting his team of Avengers together sounds cool. But this issue I thought wrapped things up nice, and I'd give issue number 13 of Avengers World 4 stars out of 5. So we're getting down now to the last few books. Next up we have Hulk issue number 7. I was a bit disappointed with this. We have Hulk go after Scar this issue, because he's going after all the different gamma radiated characters and shutting them down, as he's now calls himself Doc Green, and he's permanently the Hulk. He doesn't turn into Banner no more. I felt emotionally this issue was a bit bereft. This is a character that is his son, and I just felt there should have been, and the same with last issue with Rick Jones, that these scenes I think are going through too quickly. So often in comics we say that they need to speed up, that they slow things down too much, but we've got the opposite argument here, because I just feel these scenes should have a lot more emotion than that what they're getting, but we just seem to be running through these different things. Yeah, that's that one done, and I don't know if we're going to meet that at some other point, but they're just lacking the emotional impact that they should be having with what's happening in these issues. We have last month's tease goes absolutely nowhere, as I've got another tease at the end of this issue, which after last month's went nowhere, I don't think this month's will go anywhere either. I do like, however, that we've got this sense of direction to the book, and that Hulk has got this mission of that he's shutting down each gamma radiated person. I do like that. I think that's really good. And the art, I thought was solid. I didn't think it was phenomenal art. I do like the colours. The Hulk's greens do really work. But yeah, there's that. So yeah, all in all, yeah, I thought it was alright. I just think it could be even better than it is. And I'd give Hulk issue number 7 3 stars out of 5. So our penultimate book this week is the book I was most anticipating. It is Death of Wolverine issue number 4. And this was a fantastic send-off. I really have enjoyed the team of Charles Soule and Steve McNiven. McNiven's art has been the best that I've seen it for a long time. Well, no, that's come out wrong. His art is always been good, but I just feel he's on the top form of his career here, art-wise. I also really have enjoyed Charles Soule's writing. I think he's balanced it beautifully, making Wolverine still badass, but that he's vulnerable, and he's got that balance superb, and he totally gets the character. And I really hope that when they bring Wolverine back at some point in the future, which they will, I really hope that Charles Soule gets a run writing him. But I feel Soule and McNiven have heightened their reputations with what they've done on this book, because it's been brilliant. I love the kind of full circle feel that Wolverine's story ends where it began at Weapon X facility with Dr. Cornelius. I thought that was really cool, and that kind of story itself comes to an end. It's sad to say goodbye, and I've been somebody that's complained about Wolverine, that they've overused his character for a while now. But I'm really sad to see the guy go, and I'm really going to miss him, even though he's be back. But yeah, I'm really going to miss him. A little bit of a gripe, Marvel, have given up any attempt to kind of say that they're giving you your money's worth this issue, because we don't get no real bonus footage. We just get all the different covers, pages of all the different covers, and then a few words, 1 page of words from the creators. But certainly what's included in this book, that then doesn't feel like $4.99. Though I haven't counted the pages, so I might be doing them a disservice, because it does feel slightly thicker. But yeah, this was a great way to take Wolverine out. Really enjoyed it, and I'd give Death of Wolverine issue number 4 5 stars out of 5. So our final book this week, and it's last because we couldn't have it before Death of Wolverine. It is the Logan Legacy issue number 1. It is a new 7-part mini. I don't know what I'm doing picking up a mini series, but I was just super intrigued with that lineup of all these different characters that are connected to Wolverine, so I picked it up. The story is interesting. We're kind of thrown right into the story, and you're kind of figuring things out as you go along. It teases things that will come up in future issues, which I thought was a very interesting structure, and I enjoyed that whole setup. I did feel the art again with this book does let the story down. I just didn't feel the art. I don't know how well you can see that there, but yeah, I just didn't feel consistently through the book that the art was as good as it could have been. I'm definitely intrigued with the story and where it's going, and it's written by Charles Soule, so as you can imagine, it's well written, and I'm definitely intrigued. So I'll be picking up issue 2 and see where we go from there. And there's some interesting stuff that's kind of revealed in here about these characters, and I'm looking forward to, like I say, seeing where this is going to go. And to give the Logan Legacy issue number 1 4 stars out of 5. So there we go. Just about 40 minutes there, but we've got through all of them books. Thank you very much for watching my video. Please, if you liked it, give me those big thumbs up. I will be back in a few days with my haul video, so if you're interested, watch out for that. It's going to be a smaller haul this week, which will be cool. I love my books and I could buy a lot more, but it is nice when you've had a big week to have a smaller week, and then you're able to go and read other stuff, which is always cool as well. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed these reviews and enjoyed their books. I've been Jason. These have been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.